and then they layer it up to make it look like it's got this sort of a 3D glass effect. We'll be all right. Almost deer season here in Massachusetts, but we're still good. Hey, Steve Mignoni here at Bernison Auto Wrecking doing the Hubcap game. And believe it or not, this is the 18th Hubcap game. The Hubcap game's all grown up. You can vote, can't drink yet, but let's get started with the 18th Hubcap game. All right, let's open our fabulous van, the studio filled with glamorous prizes, and okay, Buick right here, full-size Buick. I want to say probably 1972, something like that. Big old Buick Electra 225 with the Buick crest in the middle. And again, that crest also seen as far back as 1953, kind of cool. One-piece outer stamping, but with an iron-based or a ferrous rustable galvanized inner clip. And again, the center crest held on with a screw and a stud for centering. So yeah, big Buick right there, 455 power. Okay, a little bit lighter and simpler. This is 1964 Plymouth Sport Fury, almost assuredly. The same basic wheel cover could be used on the Belvedere minus the die-cast center. It would have had sort of a plastic insert, and we can see right here the back side of it where the Belvedere would have had a different insert, but again, on the Sport Fury, it's a little more elaborate with the bogus spinner right there. I don't know who they were trying to fool, but it looks good to me. Okay, Pontiac Motor Division, PMD. I've seen some of these with the Pontiac arrowhead in red in the center, which tells you that the basic stamping is interchangeable. Again, 68 Pontiac Le Mans. I believe these also were used up until 1970, 68, 69 for sure. And again, the plastic PMD held in with tabs. And it's kind of interesting. It has sort of a pronounced positive vibe. It doesn't really set in too much. I've always found this off-putting when the wheel sticks out like that, like it's vulnerable to the curb. But again, these are seen on big Pontiacs, and yeah, even GTOs, this was possible. All right, Chrysler Newport, about 1966, I would say, right here. And it's funny how the lucite sort of has this reddish shade there, but on the back, the true nature, it's basically just clear plastic with a gray silver primer backing, and then the red is applied first, and then they layer it up to make it look like it's got this sort of a 3D glass effect. We'll be all right. Almost deer season here in Massachusetts, but we're still good so far. I'll have to wear my yellow shirt next time. Okay, Dodge Division right here. You know, these wheel covers, some people hate these. I like them. You'd see these things on 69 Coronets and even Super Bs. This was a possible wheel cover. I like the way the argent plays, the flat black, the textures that really aren't there, but they're created through paint and tone, and the center with the Dodge Division right there. It's a multi-piece wheel cover. It's got a center that's die-cast, 3 little fasteners hold it together, and again, the outer ring is integral to the hubcap, so these won't rust, fall apart, and come off the car. But these were seen on Super Bs and, you know, and of course Coronet wagons and just family mobiles too. I like them. Okay, well this, we've seen these before. This used to be a Buick, I'd say about a 1965 or 6 full-size Buick, LeSabre or something like that. The center, again, one of the weaknesses of this sort of construction is that it doesn't take much to knock that center out. And again, as I've mentioned before, that once you, as a kid, I'd see this, I'd throw rocks in these things. So a guy would be parked, he'd put rocks in, we'd drive down the road, he'd feel this rattling noise, and ha ha ha, wasn't a smart little kid. But again, a one-piece stamping, blacked out, and again, kind of pronounced positive effect on that one, kind of a little off-putting to me. Little bunt cake action going on right here. But again, Buick full-size, 1966 or so. Okay, Pontiac right here. This takes us into the 1970s. The Pontiac Ventura 2, like 73-4, something like that. This again would be the Nova-based car, but I've also seen these, I think, on like 76, like the second generation Ventura 2, the Nova-based vehicle. These would have been seen on smog-era vehicles, never on a high-performance model, 14-inch wheel, but again, you know, typical stuff. If you grew up in the 70s, you saw these like on every street corner in a Pontiac Ventura 2. This is kind of cool, the Fratzog, of course. We all know that the Dodge Charger, the Banshee electric car, they've revived the Fratzog, which for a while was sort of seen as yesterday's news, but you know what? It looks pretty cool, 2023, and I like the look they've given it, this red glowing sort of iridescent neon thing. But here it is in 1967, 68, and I've actually seen road tests of Hemi Chargers, 68 Hemi Chargers in car magazines with these things on the 15-inch wheels. So these wheel covers, not just for tax taxis and mom's station wagon. Also could be seen on base Super Bs and Chargers in 60, 68, 69. Okay, Chevrolet, America, apple pie, Chevrolet, they go hand in hand. 1963, full-size Chevrolet, a one-piece item stamped with a plastic insert. And again, we see that black sort of like dum-dum stuff right there. That's factory applied, and that's there to sort of help prevent the wheel center from rattling and or working its way loose. But again, this is something you'd see on a full-size Chevy of 1963 vintage, 14-inch rim. Okay, Ford Falcon, our little buddy here, and this of course would be about a 1965, maybe 64, when the Falcon went to a square body, the more crisp lines versus the 60 through 63 with that sort of soap bar vibe. But again, this is the poverty cap, the base Falcon hubcap, not a wheel cover. And again, this covers the hub. Technically, it's a hubcap, not a wheel cover. It doesn't cover the wheel. Semantics. But again, stainless steel, kind of a high zoot item for a low-priced car. This could have been stamped steel with silver paint, but no, Ford did it in stainless, which means it shines forever. And from the other side of the track, the Ford Falcon's nemesis over at Pontiac was the Tempest. 62, 3, 61, 2, and 3. This is from a full-size Tempest, or I shouldn't say that, it's a Le Mans probably. Anyway, this is a 15-inch wheel and speaks to the fact that the Tempest was, I believe, the only one of the Sevier compacts, the Olds F85, the Corvair, the Tempest, and the Buick Special. They all had 13-inch wheels. Tempest had 15-inch wheels, kind of weird, and 4 lugs, which is bizarre. So again, this is a 15-inch wheel cover off of about a 62 or 3 Pontiac Tempest right here. And of course, Tempest was the car with the rope axle, the swing axle, the transaxle in the back. Very exotic and forward engineering for 1962-3. Okay, more Buick. You might have seen this thing's twin. You know, I thought we did. But here's how Buick takes one hubcap from, say, 66 and makes it slightly different for 67. Similar themes, the radial spokes, slight outward concave look to these things, but again, they're very different. Similar in their use of a central lucite plastic insert, one-piece construction for both of them. Similar, but not the same. Full-size Buicks, mid-60s. Okay. Here's a pair of these things. Even without the centers, I know exactly what these are. Pontiac full-sized. About 19... Timber! Anyway, 1969 or 70, there would be a red PMD in here, and once again, they've fallen out, or these are new old stock or something and they never were there. I don't know. I'm thinking they probably were taken out or were lost, but one piece is sort of a dome effect, but these would have been seen on full-size Pontiacs, a Catalina, an executive wagon, you name it. This thing would have been the wheel cover on it. Chevrolet, again, America's heartbeat right here. This would be about a 1968 Chevy Impala or Bel Air. Full-size Chevy, 14-inch wheels. No 15s on a full-size Chevys at this point in time. Again, a one-piece stamping with a plastic insert. And again, interesting how it's held in there with these sort of clips. This little delta-shaped thingamajig right there instead of fasteners. Fast assembly right here, but again, no dum-dum on Chevrolet, whereas Buick would have added some adhesive. The cost and the expense of that was skipped on Chevrolet. So again, this spring probably did a good job of preloading the emblem against the hubcap so it wouldn't rattle with time. So 2 birds, 1 stone, no investment. Smart thinking. Okay, Ford Motor Company. If you had a Boss 302 Mustang in 1970 and you didn't get the styled steel wheels, this is the hubcap you got on that car with a trim ring around it on the 15-inch wheel. Yes, Boss 302 Mustangs use these, as did a base Torino, a police spec Ford sedan. But again, this is a stainless hubcap. This orange stuff in here is not integral to the hubcap. This is just staining. And the beauty of stainless steel, again, is that this kind of rust stuff here is a temporary visitor. It's not part of the hubcap, so that's kind of cool. But again, early 70s. In fact, I remember, I think Burt Reynolds had a movie called Brewster McCloud or something like that, whatever it was. But he had a Ford LTD cop car with 4 of these things on it. And it claimed to be a 429, so kind of cool. But these were Ford's industrial strength hubcap, not a wheel cover. Fleet stuff and Boss 302s. Okay, this thing here does not have the center emblem, but we can tell this is definitely Chrysler, early 1950s, one piece. And again, this is a 15-inch stamping right here. This would have been seen like on a Chrysler Windsor or maybe a Newport, something like that from the early 1950s. And on the back of this, we can see right here where somebody at some point in time probably set down the wheel bearing, left the grease stain there, and the washer, and maybe the cotter pin. So somewhere along the line, this was on the front of a Chrysler and saw some service. Whoever did this work right here, maybe they're still with us, maybe they're not. That's the thing about the junkyard. It's a mystery. This stuff doesn't talk. You have to add up the clues and be a detective. And here is yet another one of those, but it's not the same. Here's the one we just looked at, and this one looks similar. Again, it ain't the same. These different shapes right here. This might be a Packard piece. Again, there's no emblem in it. I've seen these on Studebakers and Packards, late 50s, 57, 58. That's my guess. Again, it's a one-piece stamping, stainless steel, and again, from the 50s, a lot of these things, stainless steel was a strategic material. The Korean conflict, it wasn't a war, folks, was in effect, and in many cases, stainless steel like this was in short supply, especially for Packard or Studebaker, but here it is on this one here. Probably Packard stuff. And finally, speaking of stainless steel, here's one that's not stainless. This is a Ford pickup truck or van, 1961-2, and it's weird how it's rotted away. And here's the thing, the cost of this stamped steel hubcap versus a stainless steel one, I don't know, but I would say this is probably a quarter of the price. And when there's 4 of these per vehicle, you know, when you can cut corners, you do it. But here's the price you pay. They rust like no tomorrow. And it's kind of weird. The Ford had this weird horizontal blade that was there. Just a weird little styling touch. So again, Ford pickup truck stuff right here. So that's it for the 18th installment of the Hubcap game. There'll be number 19. You guys voted, you like it, we'll do it more. And Rudolph, you're 18 now. What are you gonna do with your adult freedom?